Hi, everyone, and thank you for taking some time out of your day to spend with me. I'm Emma from Fullscript. I'm a sales team lead. I'm really excited to be joined today by Melissa Azzaro, the hormone dietitian. She is the writer of A Balanced Approach to PCOS, is a user of the Practice Better and Fullscript integration to help drive her virtual practice, grow revenue, and save time. Today, we're going to delve into some tips and tricks for how to make your virtual practice the best it can be in 2021. And we're so lucky to have Melissa join us because she is a power user of both platforms and does amazing things with us and them. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been using Fullscript since the beginning in my practice, so I'm super excited to chat about some of the tools that I use in my practice.
2020 has been such a crazy year for so many people in so many ways. And I think what is so amazing to me is how you've been able to grow and expand your practice to even greater lengths than it was before and thrive in this. How have you found things changing in the way you're doing your practice, in 2020?
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. When I set my business up from the start, I set myself up to be 100% virtual. And, even before this March, I really was, about 95% virtual. Even the vast majority of my local clients really like to meet with me virtually, just for the convenience sake. They don't have to pay for parking, they don't have to take time off of work. So I really, it's fortunate that, unlike a lot of practitioners that I know, I didn't have to scramble in March because I was already there. So really the biggest adjustments for me in terms of, the calendar year 2020 were, changing around the timing of some of my offerings around what was going on, and really, really pushing that virtual aspect.
That is so neat and so amazing that you were kind of ready for this before it even happened. When you were getting your practice and moving it online, what were some of the things that you found the biggest challenge between transitioning from that in person to being ready to do the virtual, even before 2020?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit unusual in that I actually prefer the virtual. Find that I'm an introvert, so to be able to meet like this, um, I prefer it, and so it helps me to maintain a little bit more control over my schedule too. I've found, those in-person
Right.
clients, they like to linger and chat after the appointment.
Yeah.
So that part doesn't really happen as much virtually. In the
Okay.
beginning, it's a lot of work to get everything set up the way that you would like, to have all of your intake forms
Right.
digitally, to have all of your handouts digitally. But as long as you have a good practice management software, all of that should be built in. So it's not really an issue with, HIPAA compliance and all of the things that you have
Right.
to consider when running a virtual practice. I will say that the really interesting thing, because I've been virtual for a few years, is
Right.
that previously, sometimes meeting with me was the first time that my clients had ever experienced a virtual meeting
Yeah.
of any kind. And now there's just much more of, an acceptance because they're doing it every day for work and, family Zoom meetings and things like that. So it's actually easier this year to see clients virtually because they already kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, you're so right. Like our society has moved not just in healthcare, but in lots of ways to being more virtually supportive, which is great, especially as people are trying to do this. And I love that you talked about having the right tools, being able to support you. I'd love to jump into a little bit about your experience with Practice Better, because I know you use Practice Better and Fullscript as well. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, what drew you to them and using that tool to support your practice.
Yeah, I didn't start out on Practice Better. I actually started out on a different
Yeah.
practice management software, and it was, I believe, spring of last year, so
Okay.
2019, when I made the switch over to Practice Better. And the reason for that was that it had capabilities that the platform I was on did not, that
Okay.
as my practice was growing, were becoming more and more important.
Yeah.
For example, some of the things that I was able to do and practice better that I hadn't been was set up a pre-call survey. I do a 30-minute discovery call with my potential clients.
Mhm.
And so I was able to set up a little, survey where they answer questions to help me determine if
Amazing.
they're the right fit or not. And then I approve whether they get a discovery call or not. So
Right.
it ended up saving me a lot of time, because prior to that, I was spending too much time on the phone with people who weren't going to be an ideal, candidate for one reason or another. Um, Another thing, as I've grown, and as it's been a few years now that my practice has been in place, is I have hundreds of clients that I've worked with throughout the past
Yeah.
few years. And so what Practice Better allows me to do that was different from the previous platform is I have total control over who has access to message
Amazing.
me, who has access to log their food. I had
Right.
people from years ago logging their meals, and I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
don't
it's,
care
you know,
what
it's
you're eating.
like those kind of things that I fold into my packages for current clients. Now I'm able to have more control over that.
That's really interesting. I love the idea of a discovery call too. And you mentioned like a good fit. So the idea that for you to be able to support people in the best way possible, you get to know them more and provide a better service. And you can do that through Practice Better, which I think is so powerful for any practitioner looking to move online because you don't have that in-person moment. So being able to discover and find out more creates a deeper relationship as well, which is really powerful.
Yeah, and just make sure that I'm recommending them for the right package, or if I'm not the right fit, then that's the opportunity for me to refer to a colleague or something like that for whatever reason. But the way I have the survey set up now, I know before I get on the call whether they're going to be a good fit or not.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to delve a little bit more too into about you mentioned like the right package. So you have a great process for your business where you can offer different things for clients. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about, when you process a new patient, how you run them through the offerings and what the perks of each are.
Yeah, so I started with one-on-one packages like most people do, and I offer them in a 3-month package. So that's my highest end offer is my all-inclusive package, and I only work with two types of patients. I only work with women with PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, or with fertility clients. So if they're not one of those two, they don't
Yeah,
even get a call with me.
for sure.
So that's basically how that happens. I actually this year started offering group programs, and
Oh,
well, this year I did a few things. This year I
yeah.
launched my course for the first time, and my course is entirely self-study. So it's, all of my methods in order to control PCOS in a 6-week self-study course. And so for a while I had that, and I had my high-end one-on-one packages. And what I was finding, especially after the second time I launched the course, when I asked people, well, why didn't you buy? It was because they wanted more support from me. And so
Okay.
then towards the end of the summer, again, with everyone still kind of being home,
Right.
I decided to start offering group packages. So what that looks like is they have access to the course, but we also have weekly accountability and coaching calls
Right.
with me. So that those are kind of, it's sort of in between the course and the all inclusive. So there's,
Yeah.
because of the way that Practice Better is, I'm able to kind of, the one-on-ones get access to the food journals, and they
Okay.
can message me directly at any time in between sessions. Whereas with the group program people, they have a group chat. And
Oh,
yeah, so you can set it up so they really, get to support each other through the process as
yeah.
well. And I have access to the group chat, and I'm checking in and answering questions, but it's not the same as when you have 10 people individually,
Right. Yeah. And they're able to answer some stuff for each other, maybe. And it's that community too. They must feel connected to each other and you. That's a powerful thing to have in a group session for sure.
Yeah, it's really helpful, especially when you're dealing with a condition like PCOS, where,
Right.
the awareness is growing, but up until they were diagnosed, most of them had never heard of it. And so they really feel kind of like, they don't know anyone who has the condition. So it's kind of like they're discovering, new friends as part of this process.
Yeah.
Like, oh, someone I can go through this together with.
Yeah,
Um, and
totally.
I love that. I love when they end up taking that relationship and being, in real life friends too.
Yes, and they can be from all over the country, which is so neat to me. Like they could be in Texas or Connecticut or Iowa, and it's just this amazing connection based on a shared experience, which I think we all need right now with what's going on. So that's really
Yeah,
cool.
that's actually been a big thing. I felt this year like community was really needed. And so, I've been sort of doing more in terms of, with the Facebook support group that comes along with my course,
Yeah,
going live in there more and just sort of building that community more. Definitely there's, some loneliness with the diagnosis, but then
right.
compounded by what's going on this year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're setting up, because I think the one to many approach or the kind of group session is quite new to some people. And as you mentioned, it is such a powerful experience for patients if set up right. What are some good ways, if you're new to a one to many approach, to set it up? Like, do you have a max amount of people that you kind of stick to? Like, yeah, tell me a bit more about some tips and tricks for people to set that up.
Yeah, I keep my groups really small. I keep them to 6. Um,
Okay.
I figure in an hour a week coaching call, to be able to, I want everyone to be able to have the opportunity to ask those, personal questions of me.
Right.
So I find 6 is really the maximum, unless I
Okay.
were to look at possibly expanding the length of those calls. But I think,
Okay.
an hour seems pretty good. So I
Yeah.
keep it to 6. I will say it's much easier now. I had kind of put off doing group programs until I had my course. And then once I had
Okay.
that framework, then it made it really easy to translate that into a program. So,
Yeah.
each week we focus on one of the modules of the course.
Oh,
Inside Practice Better, I have a protocol set up for each week of the course. So it's
nice.
really easy for me to go in and shoot them my recommendations, incorporating some of my Fullscript recommendations that
Yeah.
are relevant to what we're talking about in the course. For example, week 1, we focus on insulin resistance. Week 2, we focus on inflammation. So each of the protocols is set up with the nutrition, lifestyle, supplement recommendations that I would make based on that. And so it's pretty streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you set it up once, then you have that base and you're able to replicate it over and over. Oh, that's great. Awesome. So you mentioned Fullscript, and obviously maybe I'm a bit biased because I work here, but I wanted to chat a little bit about how you use Fullscript within Practice Better. So you mentioned the protocols. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your experience with the integration. And also, has Fullscript helped your practice grow or supported you in different ways? Yeah.
Yeah, so Fullscript's been amazing. I mean, I'm a dietitian. I see a limited number of people per week, and I largely don't see them in my office. So
Right.
stocking, a room full of supplements is not something that would
Yeah.
ever make sense for me. There just aren't enough things that I recommend that often to make it
Yeah.
worth it. So I've always intended to use a virtual platform for making my
Yeah.
recommendation. So Fullscript has been great. My clients really love the interface. They love that even after we have completed working together, all of the recommendations I've ever made are right there for them. Um, it just really, really makes things streamlined.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I think too, as people are running their virtual practices, it's so easy to go for a patient to pop by their local store or to go on to Amazon or something. And while they can sell good products, you want that quality assurance and you're able to know that wherever your patients are getting or clients are getting those products, it's going to be professional grade, which, we pride ourselves on, and it makes it easier for you to know that you're putting all this time and effort into these amazing programs. Are people taking stuff that is going to support their wellness? um,
Yeah, and I do talk about that with them. Talk about the quality. I talk about, I mean, the news stories that have happened with
right.
the counterfeit Amazon products and things like that, the issues with storage and temperature control. So, when you get the package from Fullscript, it's going to have the little ice pack in there
Yeah.
with the fish oil. So everything will be taken care of. And I also, something that I do that I think helps them be a little bit more accepting of using the platform is I offer my clients an additional discount above my dispensary discount. So
Right.
when they are working with me and then after they work with me, they still get that discount.
Yeah, I think that's great to talk about too. So for practitioners who are new to Fullscript and even practitioners that already use the platform, it is a free tool and you are able to adjust your discount. So that 35% that you earn, you can provide a per patient discount or a general dispensary discount. So you can customize for your offerings and things like that. And your patients, how do you communicate? Do you tell them in the appointment? Or do you write it in the recommendation you send them? What discount they get? How do you let them know?
I communicate it over that discovery call when I'm talking
Nice. Okay.
about everything that the package includes. On my sort of web page about my group programs, I talk about the discount that I give them on professional grade
Oh,
supplements. Yeah.
amazing. Okay, that's really cool. Another thing, and I love this about your practice, is your social media. You are a powerhouse at posting and getting engagement, and I love your account. How do you get your account to support the programs that you're offering in your Fullscript store or vice versa? Like, what are some tips and tricks for people as they're moving a little more social media?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I'm at a little bit of an unfair advantage because I did work in New York City advertising for 15 years before becoming a RD. And so, I have that sort of marketing just sort of ingrained in me. A couple things that I've done in terms of using the social media is I feel like posts links are where you attract new followers.
Okay.
And the way you do that is through use of the hashtags that your ideal clients are using. So that grows your followers, but I think the conversions really happen in the stories. I'm talking about like Instagram stories in particular. And once you do have more than 10,000 followers, then you get the ability to swipe up,
Swipe up. Right.
which is, it's like, hey, check out my Fullscript
Yeah.
recommendations, swipe up. It makes it so much easier. So when you're, always marketing on social media, there's always, a call to action, which is that what they should do. Like they like to be told what to
Yeah.
do. So it's, go to my bio, click on this link, or swipe up to download my freebie. So I really incorporate it that way. It's sort of semi-passive in that, the link to my Fullscript dispensary is always in my links in my bio.
Right.
And
Okay. So
then
it's
I
easily
also
accessible.
also have it on a resources page on my website. And then inside my course, I actually developed a PDF with links going directly to the products that I recommend on Fullscript.
Oh, nice with the shareable wellness protocols. Okay. I love that. There's a delicate balance, I feel like all that sounds so great, and it sounds like patients and clients are engaging, and you're doing it without giving all the information away. So how do you create that kind of invisible boundary between creating intrigue without saying, here's all the things that I do, so that people still want to take your group sessions or your course, or yeah, like how do you muster up the intrigue but also keep a little bit hidden away?
Well, you said my favorite word, which is boundary.
Oh,
Really clear boundaries on social media. It's, probably the dark side that doesn't get talked about as much on social media when you are a healthcare practitioner and you do have a large following is
yeah.
the constant asking of personalized questions. They want to know, what supplement should I take for X problem? And so I'm very, very clear about my boundaries as a healthcare practitioner that ethically I can't make personal recommendations
Right. Okay.
over social media without having, done an assessment and all of that.
Great. Yeah.
Um, so I'm constantly sort of reinforcing my boundaries on social media. Um, that being said, what I do in terms of the types of content that I share,
Yeah.
you just want to kind of give them the information to take them from where they are to where they're ready to work with you. And
Okay.
so I do a lot of things like sharing the what and the why, um, and not a heck of a lot of the how. The
Yeah.
how is what you have to pay me for. And the how is what they're always asking me. The how is, well, how do I do that? And it's like, well, I have a whole module on that in my course, or we go over that in my group program. So,
Yeah.
it sort of like leads into that, like, I'm going to give you little tidbits here and there. But, the interesting thing, I have had people get in touch with me on social media who, really see vast improvements and results just from following the tips that I do share on social media.
Okay.
You kind of could cobble together a self-treatment plan for yourself,
Yeah. Just enough
following the
questions.
information. So it's always kind of interesting when someone tells me, "Oh, I've been following your account and I tried X, Y, and Z, and now I'm pregnant," or something. Yeah, it's like, wow,
Oh.
that's amazing when I didn't even, physically touch this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. You're not actively treating them, but they're still. That's so powerful too to know that when the people who are viewing your stories and engaging with you on social media, eh, like they're actually engaging. It's not just like a watch a story. Oh, cool, that was neat. You can see that they're taking that value, whether they're doing your courses or not. But if they want that heightened, then they can pay because that's you've curated these amazing resources.
I think, the interesting thing to remember about social media is that you're not for everyone, you know? I know my ideal customer really, really well, and I'm only talking to my ideal customer. And the funny thing is, when I survey my audience and I ask them, what do you know me for, or what do you think? What's the first thing
Oh,
you think of when you
okay.
think of me? Like, of course, they say PCOS and fertility nutrition, but I love the ones who say, your no BS attitude, or your
Oh,
evidence-based recommendations. And it's like, okay, yeah, they get it, they get me. But for all those people who get you, there's going to be an equal amount who are instantly repelled. And so, I hear a lot from healthcare practitioners that they're, worried about the number of their followers or the number of the people on their email lists. And it's not about quantity. Those are vanity numbers. Like, you want quality, like the people who are going to engage and who
right.
are going to respond, because that's what's going to make your posts get seen by more people. That's what's going to make more people open your emails.
That's true.
Hmm.
Right. If you actually get clicks and people interacting with what you're doing, and it makes you realize that people are actually using the knowledge, because it takes time to do social media and to create these programs. So it's nice to know that the time you're putting in, people are getting something out of it too, and you see it happening.
Yeah, for me, 90 on, I mean, any given month, 92 to 95% of my clients find me on Instagram. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, so, when it comes to spending half an hour a day on creating a post that's going to attract my ideal customer, to me, that's a no-brainer, because
Totally.
Instagram's free,
Yeah, yeah,
free marketing right there. So, yeah.
I love to, I know we had chatted with this previously, like the ideal client
Mhm.
and creating that and the power that it's had for your practice. I know you just mentioned it. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about how the ideal client has helped you focus what you're doing, and yeah.
Yeah, so, when you're starting to think about what your ideal client is, you want to get really specific.
Okay.
Um, some people would think from the outside that my niche is a woman with PCOS. That's not niched enough.
Correct.
Where is she in her PCOS journey? Was she just diagnosed? Is this something she's, been dealing with for years and just hasn't found the right fit yet? She's single. Is she married? Does she live in a big city? Does she live in a rural area?
Yeah.
So, I really go deep on who my ideal customer is, and I'm talking only to that person. You will attract sort of niche adjacent people,
Okay.
but it's kind of amazing. Like my ICA, my ideal customer avatar, she has a name, she has an age, she has a city she lives in, and her occupation. And you would not believe how many times someone reaches out to me who's that name, that age, lives in that city, and works. It's really kind of trippy. It's like,
Wow.
whoa, that's crazy. Um, so how to like figure out
Yeah.
who your ideal customer is? Really the easiest way is to think back to who was your favorite client to work with and why. What about them did you enjoy working with so much? And then, on the other hand of that, you want to think, who did you hate working with? Who
Yeah.
was it like pulling teeth every time you had to meet with that person? So it helps you, identify who's not your ideal customers, so that
Okay.
you can sort of narrow down. What I did in the beginning, because I had a really good sense of who my favorite client was when I first started, and I asked her, I was like, hey, could I pick your brain for a half hour? And I gave her a free session, and
Okay.
in
Great.
return, picked her brain about all the things, like, where does she grocery shop? What TV
Yeah.
shows does she watch? What podcasts does she listen to? So it just helps you the goal is when you are putting out content, so whether that's a social media post or an email, you want them to come back to you and say, it's like you're inside my head.
Okay, I gotcha. So that you can get that nitty gritty, but so it
Hmm.
guides what you're saying so people feel like they're identifying with it.
Hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely. I know, secret marketing
Yeah.
tips.
I love the idea too of trading like you traded a session because
Mhm.
that it didn't cost it cost you your time, but the amount of value that you got back from that was able to create such a powerful resource.
Yeah, another thing about social media is they make it so easy for you to get to know your audience. So I'm planning for next year now, and I'm starting to
Yeah.
think about the kind of things that I'm developing.
Yeah.
It is so easy and so fast to make a 3-question survey in your Instagram stories. And
Okay.
you can get so much valuable information just from asking them, hey, what do you want me to talk more about next year? Or do you prefer webinars or do you prefer blog posts? Or, do you
Right.
prefer emails or social media? You can really get nitty gritty there. To get those ideas. And I keep a little Google document of,
Okay.
the most frequent questions that I get over social media so that it's like, oh, 10 people are asking me about low progesterone. I should probably do a blog post about that soon.
Smart. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get trends and things. I just flash back to all the people I follow on Instagram too that have asked questions and you really do just you just tap them. You're like, oh, I should answer these. And you don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah, and it's so helpful to us business owners because it's gold, it's things I may not have thought of. For example, when I do a process with my course where I do a live launch with a webinar, a free webinar
Okay.
into the course launch. And when I was developing and trying to decide between the topic that I wanted to talk about for that free
Mm.
webinar that was, sort of a nice lead in to the material in the course,
Okay.
asked my audience, and it actually wasn't what I thought it would be. I mean, I really thought that the majority of them would be more interested in weight loss, but what really rose to the top was we're not getting regular periods. So then I made my free webinar, 3 steps to get your periods back, and that led into the course launch. Yeah.
Wow. That's so interesting too about how you weren't expecting it and then your audience delivered what they needed and then you were able to provide what they wanted and needed and then they probably engaged more.
Yeah, they are more invested when they feel like they've helped develop it.
Yeah.
Another good example is I have a free Facebook group for PCOS. And when I was developing the course and I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what do I need to include or not include? I'd just pop in there and ask them a quick poll and they would answer. And so, I was trying to figure out, do I need to include structured meal plans or do they just like, recipe guidebooks? What sort of thing do they want? Um, I ended up doing both because it really was kind of split down the middle in terms of people who needed more structure versus people who were like, no, I'm good. I just want some recipes to
Some
pull
general
from.
guides. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love when you talked about making plans for 2021 too, because 2020 is almost over, as I'm sure many people are ready more than ever for the new year. Um, how do you structure your goal planning? Because these are all amazing ideas. And if people are new to doing this, there's a lot of great places to start. So let's say your ideal client is where people begin. What other kind of great ways are there to goal set that you find powerful for your practice as well?
Yeah, I try to touch base on a quarterly basis and really
Okay.
kind of see how the quarter went, how I felt, what I want to do more of, what I want to do less of, what was a success, what was less than a success.
Okay.
So I'm, at the end of the year, really looking at a crazy year. So it's kind of
Right.
hard to tell. It's like, well, I mean, I think it went well, but maybe it would have done twice as well, on a different year.
Yeah.
Um, but I plan, macro, I plan out, the things I want to get done in the following year.
Okay.
Then I break that down into quarters, based on what I've got going on. And then from there, when we start getting into the nitty gritty of planning, I look at it on a monthly basis and a weekly basis. And, I really try to set, in terms of goals, I try to set three main goals for my business for the
Okay.
year. Um, and I know what those are. And so, we're constantly getting opportunities to do X, Y, or Z. And so if it's something that doesn't align with what my goals are for the year and it's going to take me too far away from where I want to go, then
Okay.
it's something I just have to say no to, or not this year, or,
So they'll guide you, like those goals will guide you in the choices that you're making.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
really kind of have to stick to your guns with that,
Right.
because, there's always like the next shiny object, or, okay, well, I really need to focus on Pinterest because I heard that's, really important for growing your website. And it's like, well, okay, you decided you're not working on that next year, so, you know,
Right.
Pinterest will have to go to 2022,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I mean, there's just so many things to do that we really have to stay focused.
Yeah.
Um,
Be grounded. Like they kind of ground you in getting to where you want to be.
yeah, so once I've kind of got my projects for the year decided, then I transfer everything over. I use an online task management system, so I'll build out the, project plans in there with the daily to-do, like this
Oh,
due this date, like do the sales page this date, do the emails by this date. So it helps me,
smart.
see what's on my agenda. I live and die by my Asana. If it's not in there, it
Oh,
doesn't get
yes. I
done.
love Asana. Yes.
Doesn't get done if it's not
Yeah.
in there.
It's amazing how attached to tools you get. They become just a part of like your right arm, like it becomes a part of your everyday. Um, I'd love to chat a little bit too. I'm saying the word love a lot. I'm really feeling like in the mood for love tonight, I guess. I don't know why. So let's say Practice Better in Fullscript becomes part of somebody's business goal. They want to use that to support their practice. When you're using the integration, what are some of the features that you love the most that have helped you, or some key things people should do?
Yeah, so definitely, one of my biggest things that has helped me streamline and save time in my practice is I have protocols for almost
Right.
everything. So, for a PCOS initial appointment, I have a protocol or
Okay.
protocol template. And so I literally have everything I could ever
Yeah.
possibly want to recommend in an initial appointment in that protocol. So then when I meet with someone for the first time, I create that protocol for them, go through and just delete the things that I don't, that don't apply to them. But it's easier to delete than to, create from scratch every time. So
True.
of how I do it and what I've learned. The other thing that is really great about the integration is that you really don't have to have both screens open at the same time. It's really all in there. So, if I'm creating a supplement recommendation, and let's say I'm looking at vitamin D and I don't know how many IUs are in each drop. I would click on, the supplement information and it would pop up. You can also check to see if the supplements are available or if they're on back order, for example. You can in there, so say that one of your favorite supplements is on back order at the moment. You can scroll down to the similar products and do a
Right.
side-by-side comparison. So you can see, okay, well, I would recommend 4 drops of this one, but with this one, I'm going to recommend 2 sprays. So it's really easy to sort of, put that in there. If you don't know what you're going to recommend, if you have a client with, say, dietary restrictions, for example, that maybe the things that I recommend all the time might not be the best fit for them,
For that one
you
person.
can, you can go in and search in Practice
Yeah.
Better. So it's the same, like I could search by, kosher or halal or vegan or,
Uh,
um, what type of supplement I'm looking for. So it's different looking than it looks on the
right. Yeah.
Fullscript website, but it's all in there, which makes
Yeah.
it really easy.
Totally. And I think being able to live in one place is so great. And I love that you brought up too, if something goes out of stock in 2020 when everything first started, trying to find a magnesium was like trying to find a diamond in the rough. So it's good to find alternative products, and you never know when something could be in high demand. So you're able to get access to all of that.
Well,
And I love, go ahead, yeah.
I recommend NAC all the time for hormone stuff.
Okay.
And, because of its respiratory benefits, that was just like nowhere to be
Yeah.
found for a couple of months there. And I was like, I've got all these high estrogen women I want to get on NAC, but that at least has it's back.
Yeah, we've leveled out for sure, which is good. Also, for the protocols, I love that you add everything that you have, because whether you're familiar with Fullscript or not, we have a very large catalog. So there are 20,000 products. So if you're looking at a magnesium, we have hundreds. So if you know you love 4, it's much easier to just delete the ones like you said. And they're all great. Like, there's so much variety. But if you have a few that you love, you just want to grab and go. And you can do that through the integration for sure, which is just handy. So great. Okay. I am loving all of this. And I think that for any practitioner, whether you're new, you've been doing this for ages, all of this information is so powerful to be able to help save you time. What would you say to any practitioner that is trying to start a virtual practice that is the one must do? Like, what is the thing that, like, if you don't do this, you're crazy?
Yeah, you have to get a practice management system. And
Yeah.
I see it in dietitian groups all the time that they're afraid to spend the money. And it's like, it's not that much money. It's like if you cost it out, it's less than one client, less than one appointment to get
Yeah.
this management system that is HIPAA compliant. It's got everything you possibly need built in, rather than trying to cobble together some system of Google documents and
Right.
a
Form.
random Gmail address. And it's like it's all in one place. It really, this is not a place to scrimp. That being said, Practice Better is extremely affordable for, and they have the option, I believe they still do, where you can try it for free with your first 3 clients.
Amazing.
So, as you're building up and you don't have that many clients,
Yeah.
it will grow with you. By the time I had moved over, I needed the biggest plan because I already
Right.
was at that point. But you can test it out and test drive it with your first couple of clients and see how it goes. It's really just I really don't know how people would run a practice efficiently without having a system like that in place.
Absolutely. We love Practice Better at Fullscript. It's a great company. The tool is so easy to use, and they've been working with us for so long. And just a wonderful, wonderful team. The community that they've built is so lovely. If you are, so you work with Emily, one of our account managers, so you have a direct rep with us that we help you with your Fullscript Practice Better integration. For any practitioners that are watching, whether you're new to Fullscript, new to Practice Better, you've been using both for ages. You do have a direct rep that you can chat with and run through your practice for tips and tricks. So you have a real person, they're real people. It's a human that can help you run through because there's a lot of moving pieces. So we're going to post some links for people to sign up, book demos. What about some of the things that you're up to right now? Where can people find you? What are some of the resources they can access from you?
Yeah, I just wanted to say working with my account manager at Fullscript has been amazing because,
Yeah,
when we're busy, I may not always have time to read
yeah,
all the emails that you guys send. And you've had so many new features come out in the last year.
yeah.
So having someone to walk that through me with me has been super helpful. So you can find me. My Instagram is my primary channel for social media. There, I'm the.hormone.dietitian. I do have a new Instagram account, which has been kind of fun, like growing from scratch again. It's the.marketing.dietitian, and that one is for healthcare practitioners. So I share some of the
Amazing.
marketing tips, like things that we talked about here. And then my website is thehormonedietitian.com.
Perfect. So we'll post all those links so everybody can find you and get the information. I'm really excited about your marketing dietitian. I think that's so cool that you're sharing some of your learnings with the community. I mean, we love working with you, so I know other people will love what you have to say as well. Thank you for taking the time today to chat. It's been lovely. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This is super fun. I always tell people, I get interviewed so often about PCOS or fertility nutrition. So for me to be able to talk about business stuff is so super fun for me. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. All right, everybody. So take a look at the links, book a call, sign up, contact us. We're here to help and enjoy the rest of your day.